Today, we'll be discussing an important topic that impacts modern aviation: GPS jamming and spoofing, and its effects on the Airbus A320. We'll start with an overview of the A320 aircraft position computation, explaining how the aircraft determines its position using various navigation systems. Next, we'll look into the background of GPS jamming and spoofing, understanding what these threats are, how they occur, and their increasing impact on aviation. We'll then discuss the effects on the Airbus A320, examining how GPS interference can impact navigation, automation, and overall flight safety. Following that, we'll go over procedures for pilots, focusing on how flight crews can detect, manage, and mitigate the effects of GPS jamming or spoofing during operations. Finally, we will conclude by summarizing key takeaways and emphasizing the importance of awareness and preparedness in dealing with these challenges. The objective of this session is to provide a clear understanding of the A320's navigation system design and how it is affected by GPS jamming and spoofing. These threats can compromise navigation accuracy, which poses operational and safety risks. We will also explore procedures and mitigation strategies that help pilots recognize and manage these threats effectively, ensuring the safe conduct of flight operations. By the end of this session, we hope you will have a comprehensive understanding of the A320's navigation system, the risks posed by GPS interference, and how these factors relate to the Ground Proximity Warning System, GPWS. The Airbus A320's flight management and guidance computers, FMGCs, each compute their own aircraft position, known as the FM position. This computation is based on a mix IRS position and can incorporate either a computed radio position or a GPS position. To ensure accuracy, the Flight Management and Guidance System, FMGS, selects the most reliable position by assessing the estimated accuracy and integrity of each source. This process ensures precise navigation and optimal performance throughout the flight. The FMGC, Flight Management and Guidance Computer, does not rely solely on a single position source, but rather integrates multiple sources to derive the most accurate and reliable position. IRS, Inertial Reference System, GPS, Global Positioning System, and radio position sources, like DME and VOR, are used together in different combinations depending on their integrity and accuracy. In optimal conditions, when all systems are functioning correctly, the FMGC will prioritize the combination of IRS plus GPS as the preferred position source. In case GPS is unavailable or its accuracy isn't sufficient, the system will switch to IRS plus DME, followed by IRS plus VOR DME. If all external sources fail, the system will use IRS only as a fallback. The FMGC continuously monitors the integrity of these sources and makes dynamic adjustments based on their performance. The GPRS position is a mixed position derived from the IRS and GPS systems, allowing for more accurate and robust positioning. Each IRS is responsible for selecting its own GPS data source to ensure the best possible GPS availability and reliability. The FMGC will receive 3 separate GPIRS positions from the different IRS units on board and needs to select the most reliable one. To do this, the FMGC uses a figure of merit to evaluate the positions and selects the best one using a predefined priority order. The onside GPIRS position, the one from the IRS on the same side as the FMGC, is given the highest priority. If the onside GPIRS is unavailable or deemed less reliable, it will then select GPIRS 3. As a last resort, the opposite GPIRS position, from the other side of the aircraft, will be chosen. This selection process ensures that the FMGC always uses the most accurate and reliable position available. Under normal GPS conditions, where the GPS signal is strong and reliable, each FMGC will prioritize the onside GPRS position. For FMGC 1, this means it will select the GPRS data from ADARU 1, as it is the most reliable source in this scenario. Similarly, for FMGC 2, the GPIRS data from ADARU 2 will be selected, maintaining the same priority order. This selection ensures that both FMGCs are using the most accurate and consistent position data available from the system, optimizing the performance of the aircraft's navigation system. In case of malfunctions, if any malfunction occurs with one of the IRS units or position sources, the FMGC will fall back on the remaining available sources, following the hierarchy. If the on-side GPIRs, priority 1, is unavailable due to a malfunction, the FMGC will attempt to use GPIRS 3, priority 2, and as a last resort, it will use the opposite GPIRS position, priority 3. This system ensures that the FMGC can always maintain an accurate position, even in the event of a malfunction or data loss from any one IRS or position source. Under normal GPS conditions, when the GPS signal is strong and reliable, each FMGC prioritizes the on-side GPIR's position. However, the FMGC also continuously computes a mixed IRS position, compares it to the GPIRS position, and records the difference as a bias. In the event of GPS and radio signal loss, the FMGC automatically applies this stored bias to compensate for IRS drift. This strategy helps minimize the risk of IRS position degradation, ensuring greater navigation accuracy. Summary: in normal operation, the FMGC will typically use the GPR's position, which combines GPS and IRS data from the ADIRU system to calculate the FM position. When GPS fails, the FMGC will no longer rely on GPS data. Instead, it will use the IRS data, along with a radio-based position, such as from DME or VOR, to calculate the FM position. This ensures continued positioning accuracy, even without GPS. In the event that both GPS and radio signals fail, the FMGC will revert to the mix IRS system, which combines data from multiple IRS units, and apply a bias to compensate for any drift or errors in the IRS data. This bias is computed by comparing the IRS position to the last known accurate GPS radio position, and it helps ensure the FMGC remains as accurate as possible until GPS or radio positions are restored. Global Navigation Satellite Systems, or GNSS, including GPS, are essential for modern aviation. They provide precise navigation, approach guidance, and situational awareness, ensuring safe and efficient flight operations. However, the growing threat of GPS jamming and spoofing is becoming a significant concern for both military and civil aviation. These disruptions can compromise navigation accuracy, affect automated systems, and pose serious risks to flight safety. As reliance on GPS continues to increase, understanding and mitigating these threats is crucial for pilots and air traffic controllers. GPS jamming occurs when radio frequency signals, whether intentional or unintentional, disrupt GPS receivers, preventing them from acquiring or maintaining a satellite signal. This interference can lead to a complete loss of GPS functionality, forcing the aircraft to rely on alternative navigation systems. GPS spoofing, on the other hand, is a more advanced and deceptive attack. Instead of blocking GPS signals, spoofing transmits false signals that mimic real satellites, misleading the receiver into displaying an incorrect position or time. This can create serious navigational hazards, as pilots may unknowingly follow inaccurate flight paths. There are several reasons why GPS jamming and spoofing occur, ranging from military operations to unintended civilian interference. First, military and political conflicts. Some nations use GPS jamming as an electronic warfare tactic to disrupt enemy navigation and communication systems. This is particularly common in conflict zones or border regions. Next, security measures. Certain governments deploy GPS jamming to protect sensitive areas, such as military bases, government facilities, or airports, from unauthorized drone activity or potential security threats. Then, criminal activities. GPS spoofing can be exploited by criminals to mislead aircraft, ships, or autonomous vehicles. This technique can be used for hijacking, smuggling, or other illegal operations by deceiving navigation systems. Lastly, interference from civilian devices. Unauthorized GPS jammers, which are illegal in most countries, are sometimes used by individuals or businesses to block tracking systems in vehicles. While these devices are not designed for aviation disruption, they can unintentionally affect aircraft GPS signals within their range. GNSS RFI, Global Navigation Satellite System radio frequency interference, can have a significant impact on the performance of an aircraft's navigation system, potentially causing a range of issues. One of the first consequences could be nuisance TAWS alerts, Terrain Awareness and Warning System, where the system mistakenly triggers a warning, potentially leading to unnecessary go-arounds. This could be a source of stress for the crew and cause disruptions in operations. Map shift during flight is another issue, where the aircraft's navigation system can experience navigational drift or errors, which can lead to the aircraft's position appearing incorrectly on the map. This shift can undermine the crew's situational awareness, affecting the flight's trajectory. Some systems, like the ROW/ROP and FLS, flight level systems, particularly in aircraft like the A321neo, can be affected by GNSS-RFI, leading to incorrect or failed position reports, affecting flight operations. In more severe cases, GNSS-RFI can cause equipment failures, resulting in restrictions on PBN, performance-based navigation, and ADS-B, automatic dependent surveillance broadcast. This can limit the aircraft's ability to operate efficiently in certain airspaces, especially those requiring precise navigation. These consequences highlight the critical importance of mitigating GNSS-RFI, as it can severely affect both the safety and efficiency of flight operations. As pilots, we have strategies in place to mitigate the effects of GNSS-RFI on our flights. Being proactive and well-prepared is key to reducing the impact of any interference during the flight. Conducting a thorough briefing before the flight is essential. By being vigilant and aware of potential issues, we can anticipate and respond to GNSS interference more effectively. To prepare for any GNSS-related disruptions, pilots should gather relevant information from several sources. FIR NOTAMs, Flight Information Region Notices to Airmen, will provide any alerts or warnings related to GNSS interference in the areas we'll be flying through. Company NOTAMs will give us internal updates, often providing guidance on how to deal with any GNSS or GPS signal issues specific to our airline's operations. TAA/MEMO/FOP/01-25 GNSS Interference Procedure. This document provides a structured approach to dealing with GNSS interference, outlining the step-by-step actions to take if interference is suspected. Supplementary GPS interference procedures. This set of procedures is designed to support pilots in the event of GPS interference specifically, helping us mitigate any disruptions to GPS functionality. In this slide, you can see an example of GPS spoofing, which is a form of GNSS interference that intentionally manipulates GPS signals to provide false location information. On the GPS monitor page, we can observe the signs of spoofing, which may include discrepancies between actual position and GPS readings, where the aircraft's position may be shown incorrectly on the map, sudden jumps or shifts in the GPS signal, indicating that the GPS system is being misled by falsified signals. The generic name of the system that fulfills the terrain awareness function is Terrain Awareness and Warning System, TAWS. The TAWS alerts the flight crew in a timely manner of hazardous situation ahead of the aircraft to avoid controlled flight into terrain, CFIT. Honeywell was the first to propose the Ground Proximity Warning System, GPWS, followed by the Enhanced GPWS, EGPWS. Later on, ACSS released an integrated solution combining the traffic awareness and the terrain awareness functions, the transponder, Traffic and Terrain Collision Avoidance System, T3CAS. As shown in the pictures on this slide, the basic mode uses the radio altimeter to trigger a GPWS basic mode alert. In contrast, the predictive mode directly relies on GPS data. This reliance on GPS makes the predictive mode vulnerable to issues such as GPS jamming or spoofing, which could lead to nuisance TAWS alerts. Even with multiple resources available on board to compute position, these vulnerabilities still exist. Both basic mode and predictive mode feature a terrain avoidance function, but there are differences in the oral alerts. According to the FCOM, the oral alerts in basic mode are terrain, terrain, and pull up, while in predictive mode, the alerts include the words ahead and avoid. This distinction allows pilots to identify whether the alert is triggered by basic mode or predictive mode. However, regardless of the mode, any GPWS alert during flight requires a safety report to be filed in accordance with OMA. There are several switches on the GPWS panel, and it's important not to confuse the system push-button switch with the terrain push-button switch. When you turn off the system push-button switch, it will inhibit basic modes 1 through 5. For the TAA/MEMO/FOP/01-25 GNSS interference procedure, it's recommended to use the terrain push-button switch to inhibit nuisance TAWS alerts when experiencing GPS jamming or spoofing. The TAA/MEMO/FOP/01-25 GNSS interference procedure recommends switching off the TERR push-button switch TERR-PBSW when enter airports and areas of potential GNSRFI in this MEMO or company NOTAM period, which inhibits the predictive modes of the GPWS. However, the basic GPWS modes 1 to 5 remain active. In the event of a TAWS alert triggered by a basic mode, pilots must acknowledge the alert and immediately comply with the required memory items. In conclusion, GPS jamming and spoofing present significant risks to aviation by disrupting navigation accuracy and automated flight systems. While the Airbus A320 can rely on the inertial reference system in the event of GPS signal loss, IRS accuracy deteriorates over time, requiring pilots to remain vigilant and proactive. To mitigate these risks, pilots should be prepared to manage such disruptions by gathering information from all available sources, including FIR/NOTAMS and company NOTAMS. Becoming familiar with the supplemental GPS interference procedures and the TAA/MEMO/FOP/01-25 GNSS interference procedure. Coordinating closely with air traffic control, ATC, during flight if GPS interference is encountered. Filing a safety report in the event of any GPWS alert during flight, as this is mandatory. By staying alert and adaptable, flight crews can maintain safe operations even in environments affected by GPS interference. Thank you.